Hello and welcome to today's video. Today's video is a little bit different. This is my first ever car review and I'm very excited, and a big thanks to my friend Jacob for allowing me to use his 2018 Audi S3 Premium Plus. He picked it up a little over a year ago. He's loved it so far. These are really good value for money. This was in the mid $30,000 range used with around 30,000 miles on it. New, it was just over 51,000. It's a Premium Plus, so it's the base model, but it's basically loaded. It has a technology package, which gives you the Audi Virtual Cockpit, the Bang & Olufsen sound, Audi Connect. It also has the S Sport package, which is probably my favorite package. It gives you the red brake calipers as well as the MagneRide adaptive dampers, which completely transform the way this car drives. It has the 19-inch 5 split-spoke wheels, Mythos black metallic over Magma red with anthracite stitching interior. It's a gorgeous spec. Still has the Alu optic trim, obviously the signature S sparkle silver mirrors, and like I just said before, the aluminum optic trim. Overall, this is a really good car. I was very impressed with the way it drove. It's a lot of value for money. So let's get into it. Under the hood of the S3 is the Volkswagen Group's tried and true EA888 4-cylinder engine. It's 2 liters, turbocharged, iron block, aluminum heads. It makes 292 horsepower at 5,400 RPM. It stays flat all the way up to 6,200 RPM. It makes 280 pound-feet of torque, comes in at 1,900 RPM, stays flat all the way up to 5,300 RPM. For my metric system friends, that will be 380 Newton meters. Now this engine is mated to Audi's S-Tronic 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. It's a wonderful gearbox. It's honestly almost just as good as Porsche's PDK. It's certainly the best in anything under, say, $100,000. It's super quick. It's super smooth. It can be a little bit jerky at low speeds, as most dual clutches are, but that's just something to be expected with this type of car. So the S3 is based on the Volkswagen Group's MQB platform, which stands for Modular Querbaukasten, which is German for Modular Transverse Matrix. So this obviously is a transverse engine. It's the same platform as the Golf, same platform all the way up. You can have something basically as small as a Polo, all the way up to the size of the Atlas, which is here in the US their largest SUV. And basically everything is configurable apart from the, I believe, the pedal box and where the front axle is. So anything forward of the front axle and anything behind the pedal box can be configured for MQB. Now another thing that is different from the Volkswagen Group's MLB platform, which is Modular Langbaukasten, which is modular longitudinal matrix. So that underpins cars such as the Audi A6, A4, Q7, Q8, Lamborghini Urus, Bentley Bentayga, Porsche Cayenne. All of those vehicles are on the MLB platform. So now that you already got me speaking German, I'm going to tell you the only German phrase I know. Deine Augen sind so schön wie der bayerische Himmel, which is German for your eyes are as beautiful as the Bavarian sky, which I used as a pickup line and it did not work. I thought she was German, turns out she was Irish, and I almost got slapped in the face. Lesson learned. So some dimensions on the S3. It has a wheelbase of 103.6 inches for my metric friends. That is 2,631 millimeters. The length is 175.8 inches. Again, for my metric friends, that is 4,465 millimeters. The width, including the mirrors, is 77.2 inches. For my metric friends, that's 1,961 millimeters. Height is 54.8 inches or 1,392 millimeters. The weight is 3,494 pounds or 1,585 kilograms. So this particular S3 has the 19-inch 5-spoke S-Design wheels wrapped in these Continental Sport Contact all-season tires. And this one has the S Sport package, so you get the red brake calipers. The front brakes are 13.4-inch rotors, or for, again, my metric system friends, 340 millimeters. It has a 2-piston sliding caliper. And the rear brakes are 12.2 inches, again, for my metric system friends. That is 310 millimeters, and they have 1-piston calipers. I really like these wheels. They're like RS wheels. They're my favorite design wheels for this car. I think it just suits the car perfectly. So inside the S3, there is plenty of room in the front. Now I'm 5'9", and I have about a good 6-7 inches of headroom with the sunroof. Tons of shoulder room. Leg room is really good. It's just really roomy in here. These seats are wonderful. The interior is just top notch for the price category. Overall, it's a really, really good interior and a very good use of forward interior space. Now, the back seats of the S3 is kind of where this interior falls apart. Like I said, I'm 5'9", and I have about less than an inch of headroom. I have the seat in my driving position, and I have about 4 or 5 inches of knee room, which is enough, but there's really not much headroom in the back of this car at all. It's definitely much more roomy for front seat passengers, but if you need to carry people back here for a short amount of time, it's more than enough. So the interior of the S3 is really, really good. All the materials are wonderful. Everything feels very expensive. Nothing in here feels cheap. Just the way every button makes a different noise. So again, for example, this is the MMI scroll wheel noise. This is the sound for the climate controls. Everything in here just feels, and just the clicking noise of the air vents, the on and off for the air vents. So this particular S3 includes the technology package, which includes features such as the wonderful 705-watt Bang & Olufsen sound system. Take a listen.
$20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up. This is being awesome. I'm gonna have some tags. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up.
Again, but the pièce de résistance of the technology package is without a doubt the Audi Virtual Cockpit. It is powered by an NVIDIA T30 quad-core processor with crystal clear graphics. It's super simple to use. All you have to do is press the view button. You have different views, and you just use the arrow keys to go through whatever you need. You have full maps available as well, and you just hit view, and you go back to whatever you want. Also features in here, heated seats. This does not have a heated steering wheel. I think it's optional in this car. I might be wrong on that. But like I said, everything here just feels wonderful, and nothing in here feels cheap. The wood trim in here is very nice. This one has, that's actually not wood. It's wood-like. It's a plastic, but it's a very high-quality plastic. There are a couple blank switches, but again, that's to be expected in a car in this price category. Like I said before, these seats are really good, really supportive, really comfortable. Steering wheel is really good, very grippy, and everything is just kind of right where you need it. Power mirrors, power seats, power windows, obviously. And overall, it's just a really, really good car. The Bang & Olufsen, there is ambient lighting on the speaker grills as well. But like I said, just overall, it's a really good car and super easy to use with the MMI system. The screen is a little bit smaller. It's a 7-inch screen, but it's not that big of a deal. It still has the latest version of the MMI that was at this time. And it just works very, very well. So, again, that will be it for the interior of the S3. Oh. Cargo space in the S3 is kind of a weak point. We have 10 cubic feet or 340 liters, which is enough to get a couple small suitcases in here and some overnight bags, but not really enough if you're going to be planning a really long trip. I fit in there barely, and I don't recommend anyone be put in the trunk of an S3 or an A3. So, that's that. You know, you tell your friends that aren't into cars that you're about to drive a performance car, and they all immediately turn into your Jewish grandmother. Oh, you better be careful out there. I've had some bad stories about those things. All right, so driving the S3. Right now I'm in comfort mode on the Drive Select, and it's very comfortable. It's now this is on the Magneto rheological shocks, the MagneRide shocks, and even in comfort mode, it's still kind of stiff. It's not overly stiff at all, but you know, maybe a little bit more stiff than say a normal A3 or any Cadillac with the Magna Ride shocks. But overall, the ride quality is very good. Steering is very light. Now, this has the Audi progressive steering, so it has a variable steering ratio. Around town, it is very light, and then once you get it up to speed, it does get heavier. I'm not the biggest fan of it, just because I prefer my steering to be linear and very predictable, whereas this does a pretty good job of that, but not super good. And it's an electric power steering system, so there's really no feel at all in it. But it's very quick, you know, just kind of point and shoot. And hitting every single red light. Around town, the gearbox is good. It's the DSG or S-tronic in Audi speak. It can be a little bit jerky just during stop and go, but other than that, it's really good, and that's to be expected from a dual clutch. But it's super quick shift, and I love that you can just, even whatever, regardless of what mode you're in, you can put the transmission into a sport mode just by pushing down on the gear selector. You know, one of the greatest things about the S3 and A3 in general is the size of it. Now, it's not as big in the back, and you don't have as much storage space, but just the size of this car for spirited driving is perfect. It's just so small, you can just dart around, throw it into corners, and it'll take it. That's one of the nicest things about like a car this size. It's easy to park as well. You know, it's not that big. Visibility is really good. Overall, it's just a really good car to drive. Oh, old Defender. Look at that. That's an NAS. Dude, that's an NAS Defender. Holy shit. Oh, man. Damn, now I wish I was driving my Defender. That is awesome. Oh, you don't see those. Those are worth more than mine. That's going in the video. Oh, an old Defender 90. Yeah, already, it's definitely stiffer. A lot of fake engine noise, and that's due to the fact that it has the Volkswagen Group's sound actor, which is just a speaker in the firewall. Kind of makes it sound like a 5-cylinder. It's okay. It's not super intrusive, but that's something you can turn off if you put it in the individual mode. You can have sport, everything, and comfort, exhaust noise. It also does have an adjustable exhaust, so it does get louder depending on which mode you're in. All right, so now we're going to start pushing this thing a little bit. So the first thing you really kind of notice with this is there's tons of mid-range torque. Just pushes you back. Like I said, it's 280 pound-feet of torque, comes in at 1900 RPM, stays flat all the way up to 5300 RPM. And that's the thing that's quite interesting about this engine. Most turbocharged engines don't like to rev, and this one does. It's quite happy to pull all the way to red line. That wasn't even red line. Steering is once you get higher up in terms of speed, the steering does get heavier. It's still a very quick ratio, which I like. Yeah, steering's really good. The other thing is ride quality. You guys know I have a fetish for Magna Ride dampers, and this is no exception. It's maybe not the delta of difference between comfort and dynamic might not be as big as something on, say, like a Cadillac, but it's still very good. And it does rev match. But yeah, dynamically, this is a very, very good car. It's a Haldex Quattro unit, which is a little bit different than most Haldex all-wheel drive systems. The Audi's Haldex system does send slightly more torque to the rear axle, so it is under very specific and certain circumstances, it can send a little bit more than 50% of the torque to the rear axle. But for the most part, it is a 50-50 torque split. This is a very interesting thing about S-Tronic, so watch this. For people that have not driven one, this is just how smooth it is. My finger's not moving. It is so smooth. It's just bam, 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 bam through the gears. It's there's no dual clutch gearbox better than this. Anything less than a Porsche, anything less than PDK, this is the best. All right, so we're gonna try launch control. So let's see how this is. Whoa! I was not expecting that. Sorry about your tires, buddy. I don't see anyone coming, so. Turning circle is decent. Not great, but not bad. Now you know you're out in the boonies when you have a fat person mowing the lawn. I love the snorts it makes on upshifts as well. Those DSG snorts. Even my Q7 does it as well. Believe it or not, the Q7 does it. You know, I really wonder what this car would be like if it had an extra 100 horsepower. And I know the answer, obviously, is RS3. I really want to try one of those out. I mean, the 5-cylinder, if the RS3 is literally an S3 with an extra 100 horsepower, I'd be happy. I mean, hell, even if that car was a complete shit box, I'd be happy. Just because of the fact that it has the 5-cylinder. That there's something about an odd number of cylinders that just sounds right.
Yeah.
So going back to this gearbox, never once has it denied me shifts. It's never denied a downshift, which is very good. It's tuned very well. Like I said before, the only thing better is PDK and whatever Ferrari F1 gearbox. Those are the only two dual clutch gearboxes that are better than this. And I stand by that. Just driving it hard, it drives really well. Of course, it's limited by its all-wheel drive system, but there are instances where you can get it to get a little bit of lift-off oversteer, and it's still just really, really fun to drive. It's steering super quick, zero feedback, but that's to be expected, of course, from an electric power steering system. Shocks are great. You know, like I said before, I have a fetish for MagneRide adaptive dampers, and this is no exception. They're really good. Comfort mode, they're not the most comfortable, but they're still really good. And then once you put it in dynamic, it stiffens up really well. Adjustable shocks are arguably one of my favorite things about a performance car. This particular one is limited by its tires. It's on all seasons, and they are not the best. If this thing was on summer tires, it would be so much better. And that's an easy fix, really. And this one actually was sold new with summer tires because the top speed limiter is higher than 130. So here in the US, if you get an S3 or any Audi S or RS, not RS, but just any Audi S car, if you get all season tires, they are limited to 130 miles an hour. If you get the summer tires, the speed limiter increases to 155 miles an hour. Yeah, overall, it's just, you know, it's a really good entry-level performance car. Engine sounds decent for a 4-cylinder, makes tons of mid-range torque. S-Tronic gearbox is perfect. And for a front-wheel drive-based car, for being on MQB platform, it handles exceptionally well. It's got McPherson struts up front. It has a multi-link setup in the rear, so fully independent suspension. Again, of course, MagneRide shocks. It's just a very well-tuned performance car. I can only imagine how good the RS3 must be. Well, that will be it for today's video. I just want to give a big thank you to my friend Jacob for allowing me to borrow his Audi S3 for this review. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. I really had a lot of fun making it. And yeah, so that will be it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all the normal YouTube stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.